Morning on a bright and sunny day here in Dublin. I'm delighted to welcome you all to our webinar, Closing the Gap, Skills and Talent for the Fintech Sector. You represent a vibrant and growing industry, and we know from you that skills, finding the right people and ensuring that they're equipped with the right skills is one of your biggest challenges. There are many supports from several great organizations with training solutions to help you build your teams. And the objective of this morning's webinar is to highlight some of the specific programs that are most relevant to the fintech and financial services sector. I'd like to hand over now to my colleague, Robert Grace, who will introduce our speakers and set the scene for us.
Super, thanks a million, Karen, and good morning everyone from sunny Cork. So we have four great panelists lined up for you today, and what we're going to do is they're going to each take you through a PowerPoint presentation on their respective areas. So we have Jonathan Brittain, an assistant professor with the NCI, David Corscadden, communications manager with Creds Ireland. We have Donna Noonan, who's the network manager with SkillNet Ireland. And we have Ruth Cosgrave, who is lecturing in finance management and financial services regulation, including a master's in fintech program in MTU. So we will go through the PowerPoint presentation. There will be an opportunity then throughout to actually put in questions to each of our panelists. We will answer those questions at the end of the session, and we will wrap up then. So please feel free to put questions in as we're going along. And I will now invite Jonathan to turn on his camera, please, and to start off with your PowerPoint presentation, please, Jonathan, and thank you.
Thanks very much, and thanks very much for the invitation to talk to you today. So I manage the apprenticeships at National College of Ireland together with my colleague, Brittain. If I can have the next slide, please. So just a little bit about us, first of all. So we have 3 apprenticeships. We have 2 apprenticeships in finance, and we also deliver another apprenticeship in recruitment. We developed the IFS apprenticeships in 2017 with Financial Services Ireland and the consortium of employers in the industry. We've had some success since then. In 2019, we won the National College of Ireland President's Award. In 2020, we won the National Generation Apprenticeship Competition. And this year, we were fortunate, we had one of our apprentices win the Apprentice of the Year Award in the finance category, and one of our other apprentices was a winner at the Global Undergraduate Awards as well. So it's a bit of our background in apprenticeships. Next slide, please. So just to highlight some of the companies that have been involved in IFS apprenticeships, and you can see there's a broad range of companies, some very well-known companies there as well. Some companies are located very close to National College of Ireland in the IFSC. Other companies are located at a distance. So, for example, Northern Trust is located in Limerick and also participates on IFS apprenticeship. So wherever you're located, you should find that because the delivery is mostly online, it's an accessible program to you. Next slide, please. So the 2 apprenticeships we have, one's called the IFS Associate and the other's called the IFS Specialist. The IFS Associate is a level 6 award. It's called the Higher Certificate in International Financial Services. This program is really aimed at entry-level posts. So people who are perhaps younger, earlier on in their careers, and it's a broad program. The IFS Specialist is at level 8. It's a higher diploma, and particularly in financial services analytics. So this program also aimed at new people, but often we have existing employees that are upskilling in this program. This program is aimed at graduates. If you're not a graduate, then we can look at recognition of prior learning if you've got substantial work experience. The focus of the program is on data analytics. Both the programs run over 2 years. They involve a release of the apprentice 1 day per week during the course of the academic year. And as I said, it's mostly online. The next slide, please. So this is just an overview of the modules that are involved on the level 6 IFS Associate program. So we have this work-based learning element and we have a college-based learning element. And on the work-based learning side, we have things like continuing professional development, we have regulation and compliance, and we also have a work-based project. On the college-based side of things, which is more of our traditional lecture style learning, and then we have things like financial markets and institutions, fund administration, financial accounting, and so forth. Next slide, please. So the specialist apprenticeship, the level 8 high diploma, this also has a distinction of a work-based element and those college modules. So at the bottom, in the first year, there's a work-based learning module. On the second year, there's a work-based project. And then these more traditional lecture delivered modules of data programming, financial markets 1, and business data analysis during first year. And then second year, financial markets 2, data management, and data mining and machine learning 2 is the last module, second year. The next slide, please. Just to highlight really that these are the current programs. The programs are undergoing revalidation as we speak. And this is an extract from the Financial Services Ireland report, Skills of the Future. And you can see that these skills needs that are highlighted here are likely to form the new program that will be launched in September 2024. So it's in the process of being updated, and these things are likely to be prevalent in it as well. Next slide, please. So the benefits, employer benefits, we've found that for employers, this gives them access to a new talent pipeline, and it's also a very diverse talent pipeline as well. The academic outcomes and the employment rates are excellent. In terms of academic outcomes, those people who stay on the program achieve their award, and the awards they're achieving are typically at the top 2 categories of first or 2-1. The employment rates for those people who stay on program, most people will be given a permanent contract with their employer on completion. In terms of staff retention, we get very few apprentices leaving the program over the course of the 2 years. And so therefore, it's very good at keeping people in your organization. As I've said, it was developed with a consortium group, so it's tailored to address industry skills gaps. And it's probably one of the most cost-effective ways of education and training that you can have. So you do receive funding of $2,000 per apprentice per year, and there are no tuition fees for the program. The next slide, please. So what are your commitments? You do have to provide the apprentice with a 2-year fixed-term contract, and we will give you salary guidelines for the posts. You have to provide a mentor, somebody who's in a managerial role, and you have to release the apprentice 1 day a week for study during the academic year. There is a registration fee for the associate level 6 and 600, and for the specialist level 8 it's 800. But this is offset then by the solace funding that you would receive of $2,000 per apprentice per year. The next slide, please. So finally, in terms of getting involved, well, you need to be solace registered. That's a very straightforward process, and we haven't had anybody who's had any difficulty in being registered so far. And then you can choose in terms of, well, where do you get your candidates from? So you can decide to recruit your apprentices directly. You can get apprentices yourselves. You can nominate existing employees as apprentices. They can join the program as an apprentice. Or most companies select from our pre-screen candidates. And so we take in applications, we pre-screen them, they make sure that they meet the entry requirements for the program. And then you can pick from a candidate booklet and decide who you want to select for interview. And so that's my whirlwind tour of IFS apprenticeships. But please, I'm grateful to answer any questions afterwards, or please do in touch, and my contact details are with Robert. Thank you.
Super. Thanks a million, Jonathan. Thank you very much. So I will now invite David to turn on his camera and mic, please. Thanks, David.
Thanks very much, Robert. My name is David Corscadden. I'm the communications manager for the Creds project, which is based at the Irish Universities Association. And our project works across 7 of our partner universities. And over the next couple of slides, I'm just going to talk you through micro-credentials and how we feel that they're kind of helping to bridge skills gaps for enterprise. In our recent World Economics Forum report, it said that over 45% of workers' core skills are going to change in the next 5 years. And we really see micro-credentials as a mechanism to help enterprise kind of address those skills needs in a very quick and agile way. If you're not familiar with what micro-credentials are, on the next slide I have a very short introductory video that just explains what micro-credentials are. The joys of technology. It will hopefully play in a second. If not, we can move on to the next slide. Basically, micro-credentials are kind of short form learning that have been developed by our partner institutions that are really looking to address specific skills needs in enterprise. So we have a strong collaboration relationship with enterprise where we're really trying to build up that university enterprise collaborations to really create courses that are addressing specific skills needs that will really help to future-proof enterprise in Ireland. Our project is a 5-year project, so it's running currently up until March 2025. And really our kind of core vision or core goal with the project is to really reimagine how people engage with lifelong learning, because critically lifelong learning is going to be core to the way both learners and enterprise kind of future-proof themselves going into the future. And with micro-credentials, they're an agile, kind of accessible way for people to engage in formal education without having to give up an awful lot of their personal time to upskill. On the next slide, I can just show you some of our 7 partner universities. So DCU, UCC, University of Limerick, UCD, University of Galway, Trinity College Dublin, and Maynooth University have all been involved with this project. And each university is bringing kind of specific expertise and the subjects that they're offering. They're also bringing kind of unique perspectives on the skills agendas that they're looking at, both at a national level and at a local regional level as well. So across our 7 partner universities, we're really able to tap into an awful lot of the kind of critical skills that we have in Ireland that we need to address. On the next slide, when we are looking at micro-credentials, one of the big benefits for learners is that they are short, focused bursts of learning. So a person doesn't need to give away 2 years of their life to engage in formal education. Majority of our courses range from around 4 to 12 weeks in length, and they're designed so that they fit around the needs of both enterprise, but also the individual learners. So it means from an enterprise perspective, you don't have to give away an employee for a set amount of time during the working day. We all know that isn't possible all the time to do that. So the courses are delivered online, they're hybrid, some of them are on site, particularly for some of our, say, engineering or scientific based ones. And they're really designed to ensure that your workforce is updating their skills and that we're kind of really future-proofing enterprise in terms of regulation changes, industry changes, and making sure that we're kind of able to adapt and kind of future-proof our organizations. An awful lot of organizations as well are using them as both and a kind of a tool to attract new talent into the organization, but critically they're using them as well as a tool to retain staff. So actually investing in their professional development while they're still in the organization to fill in skills needs. All of the courses are accredited by leading Irish universities. So that is kind of an assurance on the learning outcomes that your employees are getting from the micro-credentials. And they're also designed to really kind of meet current and emerging market needs. And the way the courses are designed and that they're delivered is that the learners are taking skills away that day and they're able to implement them into the organization that they're working in. So an awful lot of the kind of case studies or the assignments that they're working in will have kind of direct relevance to your organization. You'll see those results as your employee is going through the course. On the next slide, this is just a short snap or a screen recording of our microcreds.ie platform. So this launched a couple of months ago. It was officially launched in July by Minister Simon Harris and Minister Simon Coveney. And this is really kind of your first port of call when you're looking for upskilling opportunities. A key concern that we got from enterprise, or a key challenge that enterprise faced, was they had identified a skills need, but they didn't know where to go to address that skills needs. We've designed microcredentials.ie to really be that first port of call. So we bring together the over 350 microcredentials that our partners have developed into one place. So it's easy to go through them and find the right course for both your organization and your employee. On the next slide, I just have a quick snapshot of just some of the many microcredentials that our partner universities have developed. You'll notice on the screen, there's ones that are specifically kind of addressing skills needs within the kind of fintech sector, but then there's also broader ones that many organizations will be looking at engaging with, from kind of mentoring for EDI, microcredentials around sustainability, microcredentials around AI. There's a wide range of courses on offer there that kind of address very specific needs that potentially an employee doesn't need an entire master's to upskill in, but a microcredential gives them that working knowledge that they can continue on with their current role with that new knowledge that they've gained. In the next presentation, you'll hear a bit more about one of our microcredentials that's offered by DCU and that partnership with SkillNet in offering that course. On my final slide, one of the kind of common questions that we get is, when an enterprise has kind of identified a specific skills needs that they have, what do they do next? The kind of first port of call will be to visit microcreds.ie, where you can go through all the different courses that our partner universities are offering. But if you've gone through that and you're seeing that there isn't quite the exact microcredential that you're looking for, an awful lot of our partner universities are open to enterprise university collaboration in the kind of co-development of microcredentials. How that process works is that we'd kind of recommend that enterprise really kind of reviews the skills shortage that they're looking to address, and really to kind of evaluate as an organization and with your employees if a microcredential is the right form of learning that will address those skills needs. Once you've gone through that, we'd recommend reaching out to our project and our partner universities to start that dialogue around the possibilities of co-development of microcredentials that will address your skills needs. I'd recommend having a look at microcreds.ie if you haven't already, and particularly the microcreds.ie/contact us, which is where you'll find all of the information for our 7 partner universities, so you can reach out to them and start that collaboration process. That is it from my presentation. I will hand it back to Robert, and I'm happy to answer questions at the end.
That's super. Thanks a million, David. That was absolutely very informative. I will now ask Donna to please turn on her camera and mic, and Donna will take you through the next part of the presentation.
That's brilliant. Thanks a million, Robert, and welcome to you all here this morning. So my name is Donna Noonan, and I'm the Network Manager for International Financial Services, or IFS SkillNet. So today I'm going to speak firstly a bit about SkillNet Ireland, then the SkillNet Business Networks, and then what we do at IFS SkillNet to support the financial services ecosystem here in Ireland. So firstly, what is SkillNet Ireland? So SkillNet Ireland, sorry, next slide please, is the national agency responsible for the promotion and facilitation of talent development in Ireland. So as a national business support agency, we help businesses of all sizes identify and develop the talent they need to succeed. We are enterprise and industry-led and government-supported, and we are a vital connector in the ecosystem for upskilling and training. Next slide, please. So how exactly does SkillNet Ireland support talent development here in Ireland? So SkillNet Ireland channels its funding, which is received through the National Training Fund, through 70 business networks, which have either a sectoral or regional focus. This model ensures we are connected and connecting at multiple levels to support businesses in either a specific region or sector. This drives business success, but also allows employers to cater for the individual needs of their employees, giving them an opportunity to attain 21st century skills and to build career paths. Next slide, please. So Fintech programs do take place over a number of SkillNet business networks, as you can see by the examples provided here on this slide. I do think it's pertinent to point out businesses can have a relationship with more than one SkillNet. So you're getting, the specific needs you need. So look, as we all know here on this call, financial services sector is such a growing sector. So in the latest update to the Ireland for Finance Action Plan, it indicated that there are now 56,000 individuals employed in the IFS sector in Ireland, which is a huge number. So to that end, there are dedicated networks to the financial services sector, such as Sustainable Finance SkillNet and ourselves at International Finance SkillNet, which I manage. So I'm going to take you through now a bit about who we are and what we do to support IFS companies, and particularly what we do in the fintech space. So next slide, please. So at IFS SkillNet, our aim is to support the IFS sector in maintaining Ireland's position as a top financial services centre through ongoing investment in the development of the skilled and enterprise of this workforce. So we were established in 2009 and have to date supported 15,000 trainees. So we have a network of about 350 member companies, and we have 4 key training areas. So those are digital, ESG, professional skills, and technical and regulatory. So now I will take you through a particular challenge we identified in terms of fintech skills and our solution to that challenge. Next slide, please. So the challenge. So Ireland, as you know, has witnessed remarkable growth in its fintech and digital finance sector in recent years, and has established itself as a hub for global technology and financial services. So this is thanks to Ireland's strong background in financial services and its highly educated workforce. In our 2022 report, Financial Services Skills of the Future, which was supported by Financial Services Ireland and SkillNet Ireland, 47% of respondents to the survey recognised fintech as the second greatest opportunity for the sector. So our report highlighted that adoption of fintech is not a matter of being efficient anymore, but it is a matter of maintaining market position. However, our report also identified a number of fintech-related skills gaps, and these are apparent across the various subsectors of financial services. And these included data science, machine learning, and programming skills. So in collaboration with industry, we sought to provide a solution to fill this skills gap. And this led us to our fintech micro-credentials. Next slide, please. So in collaboration with industry and our educational partner, DCU Business School, we are delighted to offer 4 micro-credentials in fintech. And David before gave us a great overview as to what micro-credentials are. So we partner with DCU Business School in this case, and they have a notable and long-standing connection with industry, which is central to their approach to education. The courses the micro-credentials were developed collaboratively with the Irish Institute of Digital Business, the finance department at DCU, and industry experts. So this ensures a high-quality programme with direct industry relevance. So these particular micro-credentials are designed for people who want to add modern financial techniques and financial intelligence expertise to their existing finance experience. So the 4 micro-credentials are data science for finance. So this covers the nature and approaches of data science and approaches finance through an immersion in Python coding. Second is fintech, financial technology and innovation. And this explores the interaction of finance and technology and its impact on the financial services industry. Thirdly, financial machine learning and automation. This develops knowledge of the techniques of machine learning to learn from financial data and build new types of financial models. And finally, the microcredit design and user experience for fintech. So user experience is a critical component of success in fintech innovation and draws on both design skills and neuroeconomics. So this particular micro-credential covers both of these aspects in demonstrating how to implement effective user experience in modern finance. And next slide, please. So just a little bit about these micro-credentials in practical terms. So the delivery of the program is in the evening and fully online over a 9-week period. So it gives a certain amount of flexibility for people that are in full-time employment. So all lectures are recorded and assessment is continuous. So if you do happen to miss a lecture for whatever reason, you can go back and rewatch it. So 2 micro-credentials are delivered each semester, and the micro-credentials can be taken separately. So you can take 1 micro-credential and that be it, or you can take the 4 over an extended period of time. If you do complete all 4 micro-credentials, you are then awarded the Graduate Certificate in Financial Intelligence and Technology. But as I said, this isn't a prerequisite, and you can just do 1 micro-credential that really fits to the specific need that you have. So this agile design allows participants to focus on particular modules of interest at a time that suits their schedule, as I said, and full details can be found on the DCU website. So those are my brief insights into SkillNet Ireland, IFS SkillNet, and how we support the IFS and fintech sectors. I'm very happy to take any questions afterwards, and I'll hand back to you, Robert.
Super, thanks a million, Donna. That's great. So we have our final panelists now. So Ruth, I'm going to ask you to please turn on your camera and your mic and take us through the presentation. Thank you.
Morning, and thanks Robert and Karen for the invite to present here today. Very delighted to show you what we have in MTU Kerry campus. So if you move me on to the next slide, and I'll just go through the introduction. So this is here by way of a waypoint to highlight to you the level of industry experience we'll say that a lot of our lecturers would have. So I myself am coming at you with 25 years banking experience and FMCG experience, so a depth of actual first-hand experience of digital transformation and financial services sector. And you'll find most of our lecturers will have a deal of experience with collaborating with fintech, at least, if not actually hands-on working. And my contact details are there if anyone wants to make one-to-one contact with me. If you'd roll on, please. Next slide. Thanks. So what we offer then essentially is a 2-year master's in fintech and innovation. So there will be 10 discrete modules, and each of those in combination come to 60 credits. And then there's a final in-work consultancy project, which is worth 30 credits. So that's a research-based in your workplace consultancy project, which can tend to add an enormous level of value for employers who are putting students through this master's, because it becomes a really valuable piece of consultancy work. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Full detail on all of the 10 modules can be found by clicking on that link below, and it gives a very specific descriptor of each of the 10 modules in terms of what the learning outcomes are. And I'm not going to go through in minute detail today, but that'll take you through there. As mentioned earlier by Donna from SkillNet, this master's is co-funded by the ICT SkillNet. So in the normal course of events, the fees would be just over or under 4,000, but reduced to just under 2,000 when you get the co-funding. You don't have to be a member of the ICT SkillNet. You can just go and pay full fees. Or if you want the reduction, you can, if you're a member of the SkillNet, and non-EU fees would be just under 8,000. Okay. And there is also an option, while we offer the MSc FinTech, that final consultancy project is a very big chunk of work, and sometimes for various reasons, usually because students have been promoted within their organization to areas of higher responsibility, they may find it challenging to find the time to complete that. So we do offer the opportunity for them to graduate with the 60 credits at a postgraduate diploma level. So there's a recognition of the work they've done, even if they can't actually move all the way through for the consultancy project. So next slide, please. So just to show you here how we constructed the master's, where we arrived at it, and you'll see a little bit of overlap here with what Jonathan was presenting to you on the competencies, in the sense that when we went out to consult with industry to see what should be included in the masters, they came back with these core competencies that they needed our graduates to understand. So we have in the pillar 1, which is the finance, you've got your financial services regulation, your data analytics for fintech, and then the financial information analysis. Then on pillar 2, which is the technology, they identified the digital transformation, the cloud technologies, and DevOps for process management as being key features that they needed addressed. And then on pillar 3, because of course fintech sector is so rapidly moving, they needed innovation. And within that, we developed critical thinking skills in the modules for the service design for financial strategy. The innovating through entrepreneurial mindset is very much something that most of our students will find completely new to them, and developing again those critical thinking skills. And then we give them an elective of either management law or cybersecurity. So the class generally decide which way they want to go with that. And historically, they've plumbed for cybersecurity. So then joining those 3 pillars up, we have a theme all the way through and a specific module on organization, culture, and leadership, understanding really that the strategy of the organization and the culture that you embed day 1 has to facilitate this innovative culture, this rapidly changing culture, and that your senior managers need to be trained and able to cope with that. And then linking all of those modules up, you ultimately have that research methods consultancy project, which what we have found in the past is that students very often come into the masters with a specific idea or something that they want to develop for their employers, and they use each of the 10 modules to help build and flesh out that idea, so that by the time they get to delivering the consultancy project, they've done a huge amount of the groundwork already through the course of the 2 years on their modules, and a serious amount of thought development and value add really for their employers. So next slide, please. Next slide there, please. Thanks very much. So how does that look for you when you're doing the 2 years? And I tend to kind of try and advise students to look at it more as 2 12-week terms each year. So we're talking about 24 weeks each year, because I think when people think, oh, it's a master's, it's 2 years, it seems a bit intimidating. But if you look at it as 2 12-week semesters, it's far less intimidating. So first semester, you do a 10 credit module with Andrew on digital transformation, and you've got me for service design. Second semester, you do the financial information analysis with me, and you'll do the DevOps with Andrew and the organization culture and leadership with me. And they tie very well in together, in that the DevOps and the organization culture actually have a joint assessment. So myself and Andrew deliver one assessment, which is an ongoing project for the students that they work together between the 2 of us. So, and that has proved to be, very valuable really for students when they have to link those 2 themes together. So the next slide, please. We come to year 2, and you hit into the data analytics and the cloud technologies with Linda. Then you're into the financial services regulation semester 2 with me, and innovating through the entrepreneurial mindset with Dr. McGrath. And then we say semester 2 that we kick off the research methods and consultancy project, but to be honest, we're always reminding you of it from first year. We're always delivering research methods techniques to you right from the first year, so that you've already coming into that second semester in second year with a really strong idea and a really good project brief for what it is you intend to deliver. And then we also have the elective in cybersecurity or management law. So then the next slide, please. So then most students coming into this will be a little bit concerned about the assessment process. There are no end of term exams. It's entirely assessed through the continuous assessment process over the course of the 12-week term. So by the time you get to the end of your 12 weeks, you're done. The assessments are always devised so that there's a relevance to your workplace, and you can apply them almost immediately within your workplace. And that adds huge value again for employers. We do a mix of solo assignments, which would be essays or solo projects, and group assignments. And we find the group assignments, we devise them to give you the best, what we call experiential learning experience. So if we remember back a couple of slides where we talked about the 3 pillars, and we'll generally tend to take in students who are really strong in finance, but not so good in the other pillars, or really strong in technology, but no understanding of the others, and so on. So when we do these group assignments, we'll make sure that we have a blend so that we have somebody from each discipline within those groups. And we also are aware of the differing levels of experience that people might have within that. So if we've got somebody who's a straight cold graduate coming in from their degree base, we'll make sure that they're partnered with people who have a depth of more experience than them. And then the interaction amongst them, we kick off and encourage a lot of dialogue amongst them outside of the main lecture hour, so that they are learning an awful lot from one another, but in a very safe environment where they understand, about sort of protecting the proprietary knowledge for their own organization. Okay, so next slide, please. So then the time commitment, and it is significant. So you've got a 5-credit module, would be 2 hours lecture delivery, and then we would expect a deal of additional time for reading and completing your assignment. So maybe between 3 and 4 hours a week per each delivery hour. So that is a significant time commitment. And that's why, again, the relevance of it to what you're doing in the workplace is really important, in the sense that if you're doing an assignment that is of value in the work, so that it's not actually taking from the time that you have available in work. Most of our lectures are recorded, so if you aren't able to attend a session, you can listen back, or even if you have attended a session and your mind is drifted or whatever, you want to recap something, they're available for you to click back in and recap and watch again. Our lectures are usually on a Tuesday and a Thursday between the hours of 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And then within that, there's extensive use of the breakout rooms as well. And those breakout rooms wouldn't be recorded. So they're an opportunity for discussion without actually being subject to recording. So the next slide, please. So the entry requirements there, ordinarily an applicant should have a level 8, minimum 2nd class honours grade 2 in computer science, financial services, or cognitive discipline. We do have recognition of prior learning, and I would say that between a third and a half of our students to date have been brought in under recognition of prior learning, and so they've had enormous depth of experience within their industry. And I would definitely say that those students have excelled and have very often been some of the top students that we've had on graduation. So I'm mentioning the graduates then, usually what we've seen with our graduates, and we've had 2 cohorts so far that have gone all the way through, 2 that are in progress, we usually see an extraordinary level of staff retention for them, but also a level of promotion, because they now have this huge value add for their organizations. We've had situations, we'll say, where I'm thinking of one person who probably would have been getting bored where he was at, but this qualification enabled a lateral move, which then enabled more promotion within his organization. So very valuable really for that organization to have retained him. And the kind of final projects that we're seeing, one example would have been a very detailed piece of work on piece of software for monitoring anti-money laundering transactions for an organization, which was able to monitor thousands of transactions every day. So that was a very valuable piece of work for that person's organization. We would tend to see the only occasions really where we see students leaving their organization was they weren't in a fintech first day, and they were very specifically taking on this qualification because they wanted to get into the fintech sector, and they have entered at a very high level. So we would have Stratus, who is head of risk, group risk for Bank of Ireland, Michael Mulhall, who's a serial fintech entrepreneur anyway in his own right, and the 2 of those actually came back to deliver at an in-person workshop for us in September, to deliver on the topic of the consultancy project, explaining to students how they built their consultancy project through the course of the 2 years. So that ticks back into the experiential learning that we talk about, and that we have a huge black book forming of people that we can invite in to deliver really timely, right up to the minute content for our students. So we're very pleased with that. Next slide, please. I think that was me. Lovely. So I'm happy to take questions afterwards if anyone has anything for me.
Super, thanks a million, Ruth. So thank you very much to all of our panelists there for giving us a lot of information into their various sectors. I'm going to now invite all panelists to please turn on their cameras and mics. And we're just going to start with a Q&A session. If we don't get through all the questions, what we'll do is we will circulate after the meeting today. Okay, so okay, first question there for Jonathan. So I suppose, Jonathan, can you tell us a bit about the Generation Apprentice, you know, what it is, and why should SMEs in particular be paying attention to it?
A Generation Apprenticeship really, I think, is about launching and promoting apprenticeships. So before 2016, apprenticeships were limited to trade and craft apprenticeships. And so, you know, typically in construction. So Generation Apprenticeship is really about promoting and making awareness of apprenticeship and also the initiatives involved. So, you know, I dare say there's a lot of people who still don't know, for example, that there are apprenticeships in international financial services, and that's available to them. Things like the Solace funding grant that I mentioned for 2,000 per year, you know, those sorts of initiatives are sort of helping people get involved. Also, in terms of for smaller businesses, it's an initiative about how can the bureaucratic process, I suppose, be made easier so people can get involved in trying to reduce obstacles. So you can have a look at Generation Apprenticeship on their website and see the range of things that are involved there, and also the range of apprenticeships that are now accessible. So, you know, there might be other parts of people's businesses as well that they want to think about apprenticeships for, rather than just financial services. So that could be accounting, for instance, or sales. There's a wide range now of new apprenticeships that have been launched since 2016. So that's really what Generation Apprenticeship is all about. Additionally, you know, if the apprenticeships are sort of growing, if there's a gap in that market and employers want to come together, for example, for this group, if they were thinking, well, you know, we will need a specific set of skills just for fintech, then again, that would be an opportunity for a consortium group to come together and the development of a new apprenticeship specifically aimed at those particular specific and narrow skills that are wanted for the industry.
Super, thanks a million, Jonathan. The next question there is for David. And I suppose, David, a bit of a broad one, but about new programs, you know, that are going to be developed from universities, you know, how can companies in the room ensure that they're getting the most out of their engagement with universities?
That's a very common question we get across all of our partner universities and the work we're doing at the centre. What I think one of our kind of partner or project leads in one of the universities kind of sums it up really well is that from a university perspective, we don't want to develop courses in a silo. We want that kind of active collaboration with enterprise to make sure that we're creating courses that are relevant to the industry and the skills that you're looking to address. And to really kind of aid that, it's about getting the right people around the table from the very beginning. So from an enterprise perspective, it's making sure that the right people in your organization are meeting with the universities to really kind of map out what is it you're looking to address, how is the best way of addressing that. And then it's really about kind of speaking the same language. So kind of an awful lot of those kind of initial conversations between university and enterprise are around making sure that we're speaking the same language and making sure that the university and that the enterprise are aligned at kind of each stage of the process. And it's around being kind of aware of the timelines and the lead in to those types of discussions. And from an enterprise perspective, it's kind of coming with as much information as possible to the university around the specific skills needs that you're looking to address, how you're looking to address them, the maybe type of format that the course you're looking for is, and then looking at the kind of the long-term of the course. So how many employees are you looking to get through it? Is it a course that might be relevant to other companies, other sectors as well? All those types of information will really kind of speed up the process and help with that collaboration aspect.
Perfect. Thanks a million, David. The next one's there for Donna. So Donna, how does SkillNet work with smaller companies? Would a company need to have a certain size first before being able to work with SkillNet in terms of co-creation of programs?
So the very simple answer to that, Robert, is no. So we work with anything from one-man bands right up to the multinationals. So size really doesn't matter in this case. And this really is the beauty of SkillNet. So we're a network of companies and we find solutions for training and upskilling needs. So look, if a company had only 1 or 2 people they wanted to put on a specific course, it mightn't be viable to run the course. But if you can get companies to come together, split the cost to run the course, this ensures employees get the upskilling they require at an affordable rate as well. And then they also avail of the benefit of peer learning, so learning from people in other businesses. So getting that value as well. And also to mention SME development is one of SkillNet Ireland's growth priorities. So it really is a core piece of business for SkillNet Ireland and the business networks.
Perfect. Thanks a million, Donna. Ruth, I suppose this is kind of coming from your own experience as well in private industry, but what barriers need to be addressed by SMEs in relation to attracting student talent?
Okay, I would think at the minute one of the biggest barriers would be affordable housing, which isn't something that the SMEs can tackle specifically, because I think we're seeing that graduates can't afford to remain in Ireland, and that's a real problem because we've got this brain drain, I suppose is what it was described. So, and even as a parent myself, I worry, you know, in terms of my 2 children when they've qualified out, where are they going to land? But as I said, it's outside of SME scope unless you look at introducing a kind of a living allowance for major urban centres where the issue is worst. I think our graduates tend to be quite ambitious. So where I see businesses winning on the recruitment track is where they offer a clearly defined career path that includes supports for further education. And I think what we see is that when you invest in your staff, they appreciate that investment beyond sort of the financial value of it, and being more engaged in the organization, then you're more likely to retain them. So I think that's key. I think our graduates, we're finding, also want to be associated with employers that are generally taking on board the ESG responsibilities. So they come out as critical thinkers when they graduate from our courses, and they can quite easily really see through greenwashing efforts. And so I think the narrative has to be genuine, has to come from the top down. And the quicker the company embraces that and makes it part of the deep culture, then that organization is going to look more attractive for graduates and is going to be able to retain those graduates a lot longer. And of course, the studies are showing then that organizations who are genuinely engaging with those ESG responsibilities are also generally creating more sustainable value overall for their shareholders and surviving in the longer term. And then more and more we're seeing sort of other non-financial equations coming into consideration. So obviously remote working, scope for travel within work, but share participation schemes, just quality of life issues generally. You know, things like childcare provision, flexible parental leave, and so on, that our graduates seem to take as a given nowadays. So I think it's the whole parcel of how you treat them and get them engaged for the long term with your organization.
Perfect. Thanks a million, Ruth. Back to Jonathan there. Jonathan, what are the most effective initiatives for SMEs to use in their relationships with universities?
I suppose one of the things I'd highlight here really is the use of Springboard courses, the Human Capital Initiative. 90% of course fees here are free, and so therefore a very small sort of outlay. So there'll be a range of offerings in this area. I can only sort of speak of what NCI does, for instance. So I mean, we'd have Springboard courses in relation to computing, data analytics, cybersecurity, software development, web development. And so I'd say in terms of, certainly in terms of cost effectiveness, they'd be very, very attractive, I think, for SMEs.
Okay, very good. Thanks a million for that. So David, this one is here for yourself, and it's about micro creds. Can you tell us about your involvement with them from an enterprise perspective, and what would the benefits be for employers?
I suppose at the core of the microcreds project is our engagement with enterprise. So the project itself is funded through the Human Capital Initiative Fund. So it means kind of a core objective was for us to engage with enterprise to address current skills needs in Ireland. How we're kind of embedding enterprise into the project is through things like our enterprise advisory group, which Enterprise Ireland is part of. And that's really a group kind of at the center of the microcreds project, who are there to kind of advise our partners on the kind of direction of the micro-credentials, helping them to address specific skills needs in particular industries. We also have a strand of the project known as Microcreds Innovate, which is run by my colleague, Dr. Emma Francis. And that's where we directly bring enterprise and universities together in kind of a forum very similar to this meeting today, where it's really opening the door of collaboration between enterprise and universities around a specific topic. So in the past, we've looked at the areas of fintech, the agri-food sector. In the next couple of months, we'll be looking at the area of kind of transversal skills and seeing how can universities and enterprise really partner together and address the skills needs in those areas. And we found that sort of collaboration has been really good at kind of opening the door between enterprise and university in not only looking at micro-credentials, but the kind of wider university sector. So we've had conversations that have led into kind of discussions around research, into fuller degrees and things like that. So that's a really core way that we're engaging with enterprise at the moment.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so guys, look, I think we're going to wrap it up there, and I would just like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for participating, all of the panelists, everyone who dialed in this morning. We will be sharing the slides and all of the information with your contact details as well. So I would encourage anyone, you know, that is looking to engage with any of you or your respective departments or areas to reach out. Feel free to reach out to myself in Enterprise Ireland, and I can put you in contact with the relevant people also, and we'll share everything. So everything here that you see today will be shared for you to follow up. So look, I would like to just again thank everyone for their time and their participation, and that will bring today's webinar to a conclusion. And thank you very much, and goodbye all.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.